Today's episode of In the Trenches, the 12 Guitar Method. Sign up today at ryanroxie.com.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie, the podcast that deep dives into the inspiring and resilient words of musicians, entertainers, and anyone else that helps us get through this thing called life. Those are not my words. That's AI. Had to try it, right? So those of you that are just tuning in right now, hit that subscribe button that Vic, our producer, just put up. He prematurely put up. There it is. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us out with the algorithm of YouTube. And if you are listening to us on an audio broadcast, thank you very much. Whatever platform suits you, we appreciate you supporting In the Trenches podcast. We'd like for you to come over to the YouTube channel because you can see us all in living color. You can see me in this amazingly colorful Nerd Halen shirt, which I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot in the next episode because our guest today, are you ready? Are you ready to start? Have you subscribed? Okay, let's go. Coming from the vibrant plains of Topeka, Kansas, to the rhythmic heartbeats of Nashville, Tennessee, our guest today has carved a path of his own on a rock and roll journey that's seen him side by side with key members of the band Kiss, as well as putting out his own music with his newest band, R.C.M.C. That's Rock City Machine Company. Here to talk about it all, plus maybe a little discussion about the Kansas City Chiefs, Las Vegas rivalry, Las Vegas Raiders rivalry, that is. Let's welcome into the trenches, Mr. Ryan Spencer Cook. Hello, Ryan. There he is.
Hi.
What's happening?
Hi, guys.
My Nashville twin. People have said that we are the same person, but you are able to grow more facial hair.
Well, I've been working on this since third grade. It takes a while.
More hair in general, though. I think the overall hair is fine. You know,
Hey,
I'm able to. We both got hats on today. I'm just wearing mine a little bit backwards. You're wearing yours forwards.
Yep.
Let's not talk about appearance right now. Let's talk about the artistry of what it all is. Ryan Cook, guitarist. I didn't mention you were a guitarist, but that goes without saying. If you're going to be my twin brother, you have to play guitar. He plays guitar in a plethora of bands. You know what? Your nose to the grind, your nose to the floor. What is your favorite band that you play in this week?
This week, Rock City Machine Company.
There you go. And it might change next week, right?
That's right. It might change this afternoon.
Well, we are here to talk about all things Ryan Spencer Cook. And I don't know why. Thank you very much, Federica, for giving me all that information that you did in the script. But the middle name, Spencer.
Yeah.
I didn't know you as a Spencer.
Right.
Have you ever thought of just going straight on Spencer?
I haven't, but I'll tell you why the Spencer is thrown in there. It's I always compare it to Spinal Tap, to the Yngwie Malmsteen, and there was the Yngwie J, as not to get confused with the other Yngwie Malmsteens. I was, like I am with everything, I was really slow to get into the social media world. Okay. And when I finally did, I realized real quickly that there was a Ryan Cook professional athlete. There is a Ryan Cook country artist. There were a lot of Ryan Cooks out there. And to make sure I didn't get confused with the others, I just went ahead and threw my middle name in there. So
it's probably actually someone named Ryan that cooks, and then they just got that, Ryan _Cook, and then
Ryan the
Cook. Well, we're both cat people.
Absolutely.
You know that my cat,
Yep.
our cat now that has migrated from Sweden all the way down to South Africa now,
Yeah.
has the Instagram account of Cindy Official.
I love it.
How many Cindy's out there are like so angry, and they have no idea that Cindy Official has gone to a cat.
I love it. Hey, man, I wouldn't have it any other way because I think you and I both like cats better than people in a lot of cases. Oh,
there we go.
La.
Wait a second. Our illustrious producer, 𝒃𝒔𝒄𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆 has put up pictures already, and this is some cat porn. Is that your cat right there?
That's my cat. That's Lala.
That's Lala. Now let me guess. Lala, you got her in Los Angeles.
I got her in Lala, Nashville, but I got her during COVID.
Okay.
She was a foster, and then we got her sister.
Lala 19.
Right in 20. And I got her when she was 6 weeks old. And then a week before her, we got 𝒖𝒑𝒔𝒄𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆, and she was foster as well. But even though they weren't related, we call them sisters because they really are only about a week apart in age. So, you know,
you guys are such parents. You name your kids, you name the kids Lala and 𝒖𝒑𝒔𝒑𝒄𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆. So now whatever animal comes next going to have the double name.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's like I've had cats since I was literally 5 years old. I don't think I've really gone through a point in my life where I haven't had it. No, there's Pepper. Look at Pepper.
Look at Vic. So again, for those of you that are listening to the podcast on the audio broadcast, we thank you very much for it. But you're missing childhood pictures of Ryan Cook with all his pets. And
did you go back and see how big my head was? It was like an apple on a toothpick.
Let's see that. I didn't know. I didn't know you had that deformity, but that's cool. That's well, you know what? Damn it, Ryan. We have this. We are brothers from another mother, of course. We had the same haircut.
Yeah.
The collar of the shirt, very 70s, very early, late 70s, early 80s sort of vibe, I'm sure. And the dog Pepper is probably dead.
Pepper's dead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
She held the record for getting hit by a car more times than any dog in the world and living through it.
So the dog that had 9 lives. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Even my dog loved cats. It was weird.
Well, there you go. Being that we're talking a little bit about growing up, we're going to talk about music as well. Yeah. Don't worry, folks. This is a music podcast at the end of the day, but not with Ryan Cook. Yeah. With Ryan Cook, we're going to talk all over the board, the spectrum of things. But in order to talk about the spectrum of things, we have to go back to get forward. Isn't that right, 𝒃𝒔𝒄𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆? Anyway, talking about growing up, rock and roll.
Yeah.
You grew up in Topeka, Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, and you saw that the good old AI, when I did the introduction, it was the vibrant plains of Topeka, Kansas.
Oh my God.
Do you remember the vibrant plains of Topeka, Kansas growing up?
Man, nothing flatter. There's me and Mama, my sister Lisa. Nothing flatter than Topeka, Kansas. I have a really quick story just to give you a great example. When I was a kid, I went to basketball camp at a small community college in Western Kansas. So my mom and dad drove me a 3.5 hour drive. I'm in the back seat listening to my Walkman. Nothing, you guys. Flat. Couldn't get any flatter. And then I see this sign, and it says, "You are now entering the scenic Flint Hills." I'm like, great. Finally something to look at. And I'm looking out the window, flat, nothing. Look out the window, flat, nothing. 20 minutes later, I see a sign that says, "Thank you for visiting the scenic Flint Hills."
Now, the only thing weirder is that you were actually going to basketball camp, because you don't seem like a very tall individual. Was it one of those things that was nothing else going on, or did you do other sports growing up besides? Because I was never even close to being on the basketball team. Okay. The closest I got was like watching Laker games down in Los Angeles and thinking that I could play basketball. Then I did it. Then I played basketball with all the Mexican kids down in LA. And then I was average height at then. Yeah. Then I blew out my ACL, after a couple of years. And that's why, that was the end of my basketball.
It was over. So I'm 6'2" now. I was tall for my age. I was taller than anybody growing up. So I was really good until I got to about 9th grade. And I love basketball. My love for the sport exceeded my ability. Which
you're sneakily tall. You know what? I don't look at you as being 6'2". That's sneaky tall.
I am 6'2". And growing up, like I said, I was the first guy to reach 5'5" in school, 5'10", 5'0". I was the first guy. So, but then once I hit about freshman year, everybody started getting at least as big, if not taller than me. And like I said, and I was just okay. I liked the idea of basketball. I was better. My enthusiasm exceeded my ability.
Did you have other sports besides basketball?
Oh, yeah.
Did you do Little League?
Oh, yeah. Little League, football, flag football, to tackle football. I did all of it. Football, basketball, every year until my junior year in high school.
Yeah.
Every year.
It's because you play guitar, I find you sneakily, like, you're taller than what I think. My perception of you is that there you go. There's the basketball picture. The Sunrise Optimist basketball. Wow.
Yep. And see the tallest kid?
So optimistic.
Yep.
Everyone was there.
And that's my dad behind me.
That's your dad as a coach, and you are probably the tallest guy on the team.
Yep. That's
well,
me.
Except maybe the guy holding the ball in the center.
The guy holding the ball on the ground was Mark Stan, the man Stanley. He was a little taller than me.
Stan, man, I've noticed this. You're in a band always with guys that have sort of monikers.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll come back to that a little bit later when we start talking about the band that you were in when you got your first. I think it was your first deal, if I'm not wrong. But we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later, because I want to get into the first thing, the first time, and the event, whatever it was, that made you want to become a rock and roller. What was the sort of key sort of moment where you said, the epiphany, I got to play guitar, or I want to be on stage, I want to be an entertainer?
Yeah, I know exactly the moment. In junior high school, you know how there's the band, like the orchestra?
The marching band.
Yeah, but it wasn't
the marching band, the orchestra, the jazz band, but they're all kind of meld together.
Right. I was in the jazz band, okay, which consisted of guitar, bass, drums. There was a Rhodes keyboard player and a horn section, right? I couldn't read music at all. Didn't know anything about jazz guitar, but I was the only guy in school that played guitar that was brave enough to try to go ahead and join it. And the music teacher, who was a major jazz drummer, let me join. And I would stare at the sheet music, but I would fake it. I would just listen. I could see that it was going to be in B flat, or I could see it was going to be in this. But as far as the rest of the charts, I had no idea what was going on. So I'd fake it. He knew it. I wasn't fooling anybody, but I got through it. There I am doing my best Gene Simmons.
There's a nice first Gene Simmons impression right there. That's not a jazz song, folks, that you were practicing right there.
That's not. But anyway, you know, so up comes the annual talent show. And as we were practicing, we'd have practice 3 mornings a week before school. And the drummer, Damian Martinez, was my best friend at the time. And so we would just jam stuff on the weekends to get together. And one morning before practice officially started, we were doing something like Iron Man or Smoke on the Water or Paranoid or something really loud. And everybody else was just watching us as we kind of entertained everybody. And the music teacher came in and stopped us. And I thought we were in trouble. And he's like, okay, you guys are going to do that. Work up a piece in the middle of whatever song this is, and we're going to stop, and you guys are going to do that. So we do it at the talent show in front of the whole school, the entire school. I went and rented an amp for that, a bigger amp than what I had, just so it'd be loud enough, right?
Nice.
And I just dimed it. I dimed it without even knowing how loud it was going to be.
All the way. You just pegged every single button.
Yeah. It was a Fender amp.
People in today's world with plugins and modeling amps, they don't know about diming amps. They don't know about in dime 10. These amps go to 11, but you know, it just means putting everything up across the board. It's like having a jam with Joe Perry, and you know what he's going to do with the amp. He's just going to everything on the 10.
So true. So that being said, so we're playing it, we're playing, and I knew what I was going to play, but like I said, I just knew I had to be loud. And right as the break was coming up where I was supposed to play, I just reached back and went like that.
Yeah.
And dimed it. And when I hit it, that first chord, it was vibrated my whole body, but everybody screamed. The whole school just, and I mean a good scream. So we did this piece that it was a medley of like kick-ass rock songs. It lasted about a minute and a half. That was our spot. And when we were
90
done,
seconds of pure rock and roll bliss. You guys were like the special sort of Easter egg wrapped inside the jazz
look at
sandwich.
that.
Wait, was that from that picture? I see it a Peavey. There's a Bandit on top, but then you have a much bigger cabinet on the bottom. Was that a Les Paul that you did that jazz?
Yes.
That Jazz Odyssey with?
Yeah. So that photo's from a year later on the same stage in 9th grade. The story I'm telling you about was not wearing those Rick Springfield clothes. And it was in 8th grade. So anyway, we did our piece, and the minute it was done, I shit you not, the entire student body jumped up and went completely nuts. I mean, and you felt it. I mean, you still feel it. And but it was the first time that I felt it, and it was, I don't know if I was blessed or ruined, but from that second, and
chasing the dragon ever since. I love it.
And I always tell everybody, those 60, 90 seconds changed me, and it changed the way everybody treated me from that second forward.
Your trajectory went completely up.
Insane. And
So
my folks were there. They saw it. I remember, here's the funny, this tells you how good it was at the time for someone that age. I told you I was doing sports earlier. We had this thing in the off season where we were supposed to go in before school and go to these weightlifting classes for football or after school. I would always skip after school to go home and play guitar. And the coach would always come, a very nice guy, and go, "Hey, where were you? Where were you? You know, the rest of the team kind of looks up to you, and I need you to show up. I need you to show up." And I go, "Well, I was playing guitar, and I'm sorry." And he was a very nice man. After that talent show, he came and grabbed me, and he goes, "You come to weightlifting whenever you want." He goes, "Don't quit playing guitar." And that was from a coach. And they're usually like kind of dickhead hard asses. And he was just like, "I get it." And he's like, "You're better at," what he was saying was, "You're way better at that than you are at football."
Can we go back to that picture of Ryan Cook wearing playing that Les Paul that you just had? Yeah, okay. That one. Let's Mike Reno called. He wants his headband back. I love it. You did mention this before, though. I think we all owned that outfit at one point. Very nice.
From Chess King, baby.
You know what? Going back to that picture, I could tell that you didn't hit the weight room all that often because you had those skinny rock and roll arms, which is a blessing.
I was so skinny, I feel like you could see my spine through my chest. I remember one day I was in algebra, and the teacher, just to bust my balls, held up a pencil. He goes, "This is Ryan Cook. Ryan's so skinny, he has to run around in the shower to get wet."
Wow. Wow. Bullied by the algebra teacher.
Yeah, I know.
But what happened after that concert? I bet you that algebra teacher was fucking kissing your ass after that.
You know?
Huh? Don't worry about any of those problems anymore. Don't worry about any more. You don't have to solve any more equations. Not with us. Just go play that guitar, man.
Oh yeah. It was
all right. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit because we spent a lot of time on Ryan Cook. No, we spent a good amount of look. It's quality time. Anytime I get to spend time with you, Ryan, is quality time.
There you go.
But I wanted to get into, eventually you left the what do they call it? The vibrant plains of Topeka, Kansas. You left those vibrant plains, and you had a choice, and you're kind of smack dab in the middle. Whoa.
Look at that baby face.
Somewhere along the line, you took that photo shoot.
Yeah.
And The lead singer of Flock of Seagulls called. He wants his haircut back. Fucking Mike Reno and the lead singer of Flock of Seagulls. Sorry, I can't remember the singer of Flock of Seagulls' name. I know I'm going to get letters about that. How could you disrespect the lead singer of Flock of Seagulls like that?
Exactly.
But sometimes, folks that are listening on the audio broadcast, our producer will go off script and he'll just go rogue and he'll just put pictures up, random pictures up, and then will cause us to completely lose focus. So that's the sign of a really great producer, don't you think, Ryan?
That's what happened. I love it.
Let's go back to that photo real quick. Because was that your decision to either move to Los Angeles? You know, if you go West Coast or you go East Coast.
Yeah.
You decided to go West Coast. You decided to go LA, baby.
Yep.
There you go. Was that photo shoot taken in Los Angeles or was that taken in Topeka, Kansas?
That was taken in Orlando, Florida.
Wow. Okay. was Disneyland, Disney World auditioning?
Yeah. I was the big Pluto. No, what's funny, man, I knew I wanted to be in a band and do the whole thing. For whatever reason, I don't know if I was scared or just my gut told me not to go to LA yet. I went to an audio engineering school and to UCF. I got my associate's degree in music business.
And also UCF would be
University Central Florida.
Central Florida. Okay.
So I got because I was going to an audio school to learn to engineer and do all that kind of stuff. And then I was taking what they call satellite classes that no one else knew about. And I also got my associates in music business degree. Okay. Because I wanted.
So not only were you living the dream, you were also taking care of business as well. You got your shit together as far as the business end of it. And you actually learned how to dial up a tone. That's why I actually go to you when we get those Hughes and Kettner amps all in. I always ask, hey, Ryan, can you dial me up a tone on that one?
Yeah. And the thing was, though, you know what? I'd read so many. And by the way, that photo, I was only 20 years old at that point. And I just knew, I told myself I was going to work. I was never going to be a broke musician because I never believed in that. I thought you only broke because you didn't work. And I told myself I was going to work. I was only going to work in the music business, which is why I wanted to learn everything besides just playing guitar. I want to learn the business. I want to learn how you made records. I wanted to do everything. I want to do everything. I still want to do everything. It's followed me to today.
No, I can see that. We're going to discuss all the different things that you do, and it all does encompass, at the end of the day, the foundation is always music.
Always.
And look who you end up playing with. You end up playing with Gene Simmons, who, probably one of the most well-known rock and rollers that has business acumen. There's a lot of rock and rollers that have business acumen. They know their shit. They know, the business of music. And there's a lot that don't as well. But I'm sure we've run across many, whether Los Angeles, Nashville, or anywhere else in the world. But it's kudos to you for getting all those boxes checked, because you knew what you wanted. You knew you wanted to be in the music business one way or another. Yeah. And then it just so happens that it ends up becoming quite a cool reality that it is playing on stage like you did at that, as that special guest jazz band, that ended up being what you actually do, entertaining people on stage. Yeah. So when was it then that you moved to Los Angeles?
So I got to LA. The timeline was late 92, early 93. I got moved out there by a guy named Desmond Child. And
wait a second, that name rings a bell.
Look at that guy.
There he is. There's a nice shot of Desmond. For those of you that are in the Alice Cooper world and more, you will know that name, Desmond Child, because he probably wrote one of the most well-known Alice Cooper songs of all time. That would be the song Poison. I've only played it about 100,000 times. I think at one point you got to start having a little bit of right. I wish I could take a little bit of the publishing just for the sheer amount of times that we played the song. Yep. right? Even just a 0.0001%. But Desmond Child, obviously monster songwriter, started, he worked all with your guys that you eventually worked with, Kiss guys, Paul Stanley, all the big Bon Jovi hits. How in the hell did you end up meeting Desmond Child?
So when I was in Nashville for the first time, because after I went to school in Florida, I called Arista Records from Florida, got an internship, came to Nashville, was working in the mailroom of a record label. And then a few months later, EMI Music Publishing, which people don't know is a worldwide music publisher, they were massive at the time. And Desmond, being the big hit songwriter he was in Los Angeles, was an EMI writer. Well, at that time, country music was booming. Desmond came to Nashville to write with a lot of country writers because he wanted in on that as well. And EMI had a studio in the basement. They would let me go in at night and record for free. So I was down there doing rock music, writing songs, learning to write songs, and singing, playing, doing all this stuff. And when Des came to town, someone down there played it for him. And he came up to the tape room and he's like, I've got this band in LA that I'm working with and they need a singer. You guys are like cut from the same bolt of cloth. Will you come out and meet them? So I flew out a week later, moved out 2 months later.
Now, would that band eventually become Hair of the Dog, or was that before it?
That's it.
There you go. So then we actually did, Federica, our illustrious script engineer and in charge of getting a bunch of the great facts that I have about you to talk about. That was one of the questions. It was a fact or fiction. And we do this thing called fact or fiction where Desmond Child had something to do with you joining the band Hair of the Dog.
Yep.
There's Hair of the Dog. That is obviously a fact because you just heard it from Ryan right now.
It was.
Do I know any of those guys in that band? Because honestly, that's a lot of that was before Facebook filters, and it was before Instagram filters. But damn, you guys had a lot of filters going. That was when it was called old school airbrushing.
And you know who took that? Niels Lozauer.
I was just gonna say Niels Lozauer.
Yeah.
But man, who airbrushed? Go back to that picture, Vic. Who airbrushed that bicep?
You know what? I got to tell you, John was a personal trainer, and that's 100% real.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's backstage at the Joint in Las Vegas right there that was the first night of our tour with Rat when Rat got back together.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Now, wait a second. Go back to that photo real quick because I like to have a little bit of fun. I'm just going to guess. Hold on. I'm just going to guess. The guy on the far right is the drummer. Am I right?
Ding, ding,
Okay,
ding.
so now, hold on. Now, folks, this is good for you and good for any of you drummers out there. It's no disrespect at all. It's just what drummers do. Go back to that photo. Key things. They will wear their laminate on any sort of photo shoot around the neck. That'll happen. And then it'll look what appears to be like an elephant penis that's in the middle, but it's probably a drum towel to dry off. There, it's still in the photo. So, folks, if you're a drummer out there, just a guitarist reaching out with a little bit of help, take off the laminate before the photo starts shooting, before Niels Lozauer starts snapping away.
Oh, my God. That is so dead on perfect. And you know who took that picture?
Who?
Jerry Miller.
Perfect. Wait, Jerry Miller from
Metal Edge.
Metal Edge. We all rest in peace, Jerry. We love Jerry.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, so a little bit backtracking before we get back into the newer band, RCMC. We're talking about the bands that you were influenced by, and so you're growing up. You're upstate. You're now in Los Angeles. Is maybe a band like this very popular? And obviously this is not the band, but we're talking. The logo.
I know it.
Van Halen.
Yeah.
And there's another band. This is Nerd Halen, which we love as well. Alumni of the podcast as well. But are bands like Van Halen and Kiss, are you listening to them and being influenced by them and seeing them around Los Angeles? Because obviously with Desmond Child as sort of a confidant, you're getting hooked up and you're getting like, introductions to a lot of these people, right?
Yep. Yeah. And strangely enough, my introduction to Dave, to Roth, was through Niels Lauer, through Zlozauer, because, for those first 6 records, the Dave years, Zloz pretty much traveled with the band. And that was how I met Dave and was started hanging out around Dave, was Zlozauer.
So you actually ended up hanging out with David Lee Roth because of Neil Zlozauer, who's one of the biggest rock photographers at that point. I've definitely done a photo shoot with him, back in the day, whether it was with Gilby Clarke or Candy or one of the bands that we've done. You did Hair of the Dog photo shoots as well. And we didn't go back to that one photo that was just you and the Les Paul in Orlando. I feel it's bad that we didn't give that photo.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Look at that baby fat face.
I think we're going to give that one to Sears. Whoever the house photographer was at the Sears Family Portrait Center, shout out to that photo.
Yeah. Oh, my God. There you go.
Now, hold on. Again, for people that aren't watching on the actual video broadcast, our producer has lost his mind and put photos of a flock of seagulls up. I think it was that, or was that you?
That was a flock of seagulls. Yep.
I don't know. It could be you.
It might be me. We'll let people go.
You know what? Vic hears me go off a little bit on one little thing, one little tangent, flock of seagulls. Then he spends the next 5 minutes downloading a photo and, dressing it all up so he can just bounce it on us, man.
He's big time. I love it.
I love it. Well, check it out, man. Let's take a quick little break and we're going to come back with all the new stuff. Plus the fact that, whether it's Van Halen, Kiss, you end up not only hanging out with some of your idols, you end up on stage with some of your idols. That'll be in the second half. But right now, this guy right over here, Ryan Spencer Cook, he's a guitar player. I'm a guitar player. Our whole mission with this podcast is to get more people playing guitar. If you're interested right now in starting to learn, we'll check this out. And then we will be back in just a little bit with more of In the Trenches podcast with Ryan Cook.
Hey.
Hello, Ryan Roxie here from the 𝑺𝒖𝒃𝒏𝒆 band, and I'd like to talk a little bit about one of my favorite things, playing guitar. Here at the RGA headquarters, which stands for Roxie Guitar Army, by the way, we've put together a guitar learning system that will get you playing and understanding the guitar faster than any other teaching program out there. We call it the System 12 Guitar Method, and it's designed to make the most out of your time, your effort, and your passion for learning guitar. By combining new school technology, old school mentoring, and the number 12, we have invented a new way to teach guitar. And over the past year, we have helped so many people who wanted to start or continue their guitar journey do exactly that. Now, we'd like to help you. There's never been a better time to start learning guitar than right now. If you think it's too hard, the System 12 makes it easy. If you think it'll take too much time, the System 12 will have you playing in 12 weeks. And if you think it's too expensive, the entire System 12 costs less than what one private guitar lesson would cost you at your local music store. Check out the official site or the links below in the description of this video to join the RGA and get started on your guitar journey with the System 12 Guitar Method. Now, let's get back into the trenches for some more rock and roll. Enjoy the show, enjoy the ride. Mwah! That's
it. And we are back.
I gotta subscribe to that.
Yeah, well, no, you don't. You know what? You know how to play guitar. This is a foundational level. It's for beginners, intermediates. I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of the fact that I've learned how to read a screen, a teleprompter much better over the years. Oh. Wow, I was a young little pup back then. Those about 5 months ago. Damn. Well, folks, the hair's just tied back today. But guess what? The hair's all out. Everything's all out with Ryan Spencer Cook here, our guest on In the Trenches podcast. Welcome back. We are talking about early days with Ryan Cook in Los Angeles. The band he is now formed called Hair of the Dog, which was actually put together with him by songwriter and Poison songwriter Desmond Child.
Yeah.
There is Desmond and Alice, for no apparent reason, a picture of them too, but that's not Ryan Cook, by the way, or he would have aged a lot like Alice Cooper.
Alice looks a little better.
But that picture, Vic, I'm glad you put that picture up of Desmond Child and Alice Cooper, because by the time Hair of the Dog, the band, got their record deal, we were label mates. I don't know if you knew that. Spitfire Records. We were both on Spitfire Records in the year 2000. It was Alice Cooper had put out Brutal Planet, and you guys had put out your debut album at that point, right?
Kind of. What happened was, and I know that you'll get this, especially being in the early 90s, we were a hard rock band. And since that was not the cool thing at the time, everything was more grunge, alternative rock. We got passed on by every single label. Everybody passed on us.
I know that feeling. That feeling very well.
Everybody came to see us. Everybody passed on us. But we had one song called Cadillac Jack that was doing great. And it was on this thing called the Album Network Sampler. And it went to all the rock stations throughout the country. And everybody was playing it. So we just decided, our manager decided, let's just put this out ourselves and go on the road. So we did. We ended up selling 30,000 records by ourselves.
And you know what? That's actually very admirable. Today, it would be a huge success. You know?
And the thing is, though, we were selling them at shows. Like after people would see us, we'd run to the merch booth, stand there and do the shake and howdy. We sold so many freaking records that way. And that's the way we did it. And then circle around again, Spitfire comes into the picture and they noticed it. And it was a hard rock label. Because I don't know if you remember, at the same time that you and I are on there, it was Dio, Zakk Wylde, Enough's Enough, Ted Nugent. We were all label mates at one time.
Almost every album produced by Bob Marlette.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't produce your album, though.
No. And our first album was nothing more than glorified demos put together and mastered and made into an album. So when Spitfire released what was really our second album, Rise, that was produced by Michael Wagner, part of the deal was that they would also re-release our first record. So we actually got two records released by Spitfire at the same time, although the debut album had already been out for a couple years.
And you guys had already pretty much raised your own following by yourselves.
It was grassroots.
I always admire about you, Ryan. And one of the things I think we're very similar, we take the fans, we embrace them, we bring the fans into us, and anybody that supports us, we give back that same love, and because it's allowed us to actually have a career in music.
Yeah, man. I mean, think about it. Because I've watched you for years. Like I said, we talked about this and I won't get into it, but it's so weird that it was so late, much later in our lives that we met, because you and I ran in so many of the same circles.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. And the reason I'm saying that goes back to what you said a minute ago, is that we were able to turn into a career. It's like, tell me if you agree with this. You and I have probably lived our lives for at least the last 25 years, planning them only at 3 and 6 month intervals. Does that sound about right to you? Like as of today?
Absolutely. You are correct.
I've just recorded this and it's going to be out in this. So here's what I'm going to do for the next 3 months. And then after that, I've got this tour and I've got that. And then it winds down. Then what do? Well, I start over. I'm going to plan this 3 months. And then, dude, we've been doing that for 30 years now.
That's why I say there's like a crisis, any sort of financial crisis doesn't really affect a musician, a rock and roll guitar player, a rock and roller in a band, because we're always been in financial crisis. There's always been some sort of upending. And I've always said that we treat our worlds like we're hamsters, like we have to pack up, pack up as much as you can
Yeah.
while you can, and
Yeah.
then survive off of it for the winter.
Exactly. And you can't be hillbilly rich. You can't be hillbilly rich is what we call it here in Nashville. Like, because I've seen so many, especially when I was in the publishing business, you would see so many guys that would get their first publishing
What's that? They're calling it now hillbilly rich
in Nashville. Yeah, it's hillbillies.
It is 2024, of course. Yeah,
hillbillies with money. But you'll see these guys get a big chunk for the first time, especially if a guy's had a hit and they get that first check. Somebody has to remind these guys that you have to, you gotta spread that money out and look what it's going to do for you for the next 12 months. You're not going to have a hit every time, you know, and you gotta look in the future. You can't just go spend everything at once and think you're going to get that check again in 3 months, because we both know that does not happen.
And you have to also take where you're at right now. What can I do? How can I leverage where I'm at right now into the next year or two? And you've been able to do that magnificently well, whether it's going, leveraging yourself up with bands, whether it's using, not using, but having the band that you're in support the stuff that you're doing.
Absolutely.
You're able to
see, and that's the thing is, like, we won't get into I appreciate what you just said very much. Thank you. But we won't get into this whole thing. We spend all this time patting each other on the back, but something that I've watched you do all these years that I think you're so good at and I'd like to get better at is you've become a brand. And so many successful people around me that I see that are doing that and making a brand are the people that are maintaining that plane of positivity and like actually doing something that works for them when they're not on stage and when they're not touring. And then it just becomes, your life becomes the brand that is the whole music thing that you want to do in the first place. I love that. Like I told you earlier, I don't want to just play guitar. I would love to be part of, a clothing line that musicians totally dig, or anything to do with, I talk to you about doing music for film and TV and that kind of stuff. I don't always have to be on stage in front of people. As much as I love it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, like a tangent, because what you've been able to accomplish, like alongside it has to do with music, but you've taken this side thing where now you are into clothing, you are into fashion. Part of what part of your image and part of what Ryan Cook stands for is always being really cool rock and roller up on stage that has a lot of customized stuff, a lot of customized clothing. Now, you took that one step further and you started taking these customized clothing and selling it and marketing it as a brand so that other people can have customized clothes themselves. Where was that? Where was the idea for that? And have you always been one of those guys that customize his own, whether it's clothes, straps, guitars? Where did the whole thing come from?
The whole thing came from me being too broke to afford the stuff that I wanted in the first place, as far as stage clothes go. And I found a place like Tandy Leather that sold the studs or the leather swatches. I found a place like Studs and Spikes that sells the studs or the rivets and all that kind of stuff. Everything that I did, like on my vest and my jeans and the pants, it's all leather patch scrap work. And it was literally just learn to do it. I call it Frankenstitching. It's not perfect, but it worked for what I was doing. And then people started commenting on it so much and stuff that, I'd be on stage. A good example, the first time it happened, I did this custom vest when I was playing with Gene in Tokyo. And all of a sudden you start getting requests from people via social media wanting to buy it. Yeah. And you're like, who would want to wear something that I wore on stage once? And guess what? And once I started doing that, I just started making things and putting them up and like, hey, and I wouldn't even say I was selling it. I would just go, look what I just made. Look what I just made. Yeah, see those? Those are the pants are from Warnstar, and so's the vest, but then I take the stuff and add all these different things to it so it doesn't look like everybody else's.
Right. And that's where you would make it your own. I mean, there's another guy who I wear his clothes all the time. Chad Cherry.
Yep.
He's and the fact that you say Frankenstitch, a big shout out to him. He's a musician, great singer as well. He's in a band, but does the same sort of thing. He customizes. You can send him a pair of jeans and he'll make them Chad Cherry-ish. You make stuff. The only difference with you is that you already customize your Ryan Cook clothing, and then you just sell it and you put it up as is. If someone wants to maybe pick up a piece or two from Ryan Cook, what's the best way to go check out some Ryan Cook clothing?
The easiest way to reach is DM on Instagram or Messenger on Facebook. And I get all my orders go that way. But the thing was, you were asking earlier, Vic was showing the shirts and the hoodies. That came out of me purging my closet. And I got this thing from 𝑺𝒖𝒃𝒏𝒆𝒍, a flannel one time, and it had a really cool Rolling Stones thing on the back.
Right.
And it was like $600.
That's cheap, 𝑺𝒖𝒃𝒏𝒆𝒍.
Yeah, it is. And I was like, wow, $600. And I looked at my closet and I had probably 60 Kiss t-shirts with the tags on them that I never wore and I would never wear, and all these flannels. I'm like, I got to get rid of some of this stuff. And I thought, I'm going to do 4 and see if anybody gives a shit. And they were gone in like 11 minutes. And this was when I was off between Thanksgiving and January 10th. And I thought, I'm just going to watch football and crank these things out. And all of a sudden, the shit got bigger than the cat, and I couldn't keep up with the orders.
Right.
And now it's just going today, and I graduated into hoodies, and I sell them at the merch table at all the shows.
That's perfect. So now you can go out on the road and you can bring the store to the people.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about those 60 Kiss shirts that you had in the closet, because how crazy is it? Did you grow up a Kiss fan?
The biggest fan turned fanatic you can imagine.
Really?
Oh God, that is the whole reason I picked up a guitar.
What was your first Kiss album? Because for me, it came a little bit later. I'm not gonna lie, because when Alive came out, I was a little bit frightened. I was a little kid. I was a little bit afraid.
Yeah.
And then when Love Gun came out in '77, that was the album for me that did it, because it just had the tunes. It just had songs. For every song on that album is not to be all Spinal Tap, but every song on that album is a hit.
Yep. Yeah.
But what album was it for you?
Destroyer.
Of course, Bob Ezrin produced a classic. No doubt about it. One of the best Kiss albums of all time.
But you got to realize, I was too little to probably even really appreciate it. I was in first grade.
Right.
Beth was on the radio. Okay. And the reason I went and got the record is because I saw them on the Paul Lynde Halloween special. Freaked me out. I loved it. Went and got that. And then I went backwards. And then I got Alive. And then I got the originals that had the first 3 records in it. And then I went and bought the first 3 records separately. And then I got Rock and Roll Over. And then I bought them as they came out. You said Love Gun. I can remember going to Mother Earth Records in Topeka and there being a whole massive wall of nothing but Love Gun.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I love going backwards. When you find a band, you discover them, and then you go backwards. For me, that band was Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
I had discovered them at Budokan,
yep,
at a party down in Los Angeles. But then to go back and then to listen to In Color, Heaven Tonight, In Color, and then the original Cheap Trick album. Yeah. That was just such a huge, big thing. And of course, great timing. Ryan Spencer Cook in a photo with Rick Nielsen, and of course Dax Nielsen, his son, who is now the drummer. But go back to that photo. Look how times have changed. Look at Dax. This is why I love Dax so much.
Yeah.
You see any laminate there? No laminate. You see any drum towel? No drum towel. Dax, you got it right. There's hope for the future.
He's all grown up.
I love it. So, my next question, growing up a huge Kiss fan, the reason why you started playing guitar, how does that come about where Gene Simmons chooses you as his band?
Yeah. So
chooses you and Jeremy, obviously Jeremy Asbrook. If you guys don't know, Ryan and Jeremy are 2 peas in a pod. Yeah. They're great. They're great together. They play off each other all the time. So, like, tell me about how that whole band came about.
So we were doing a thing. I put together a thing in Nashville called the Big Rock Show. Okay. There you
I've
go.
heard of that.
You've heard of that. See? And it was not.
And by the way, Big Rock Show is an ode to a band that I was in 1996 up in Seattle called Sweetwater. They actually had a song on their album called Big Rock Show.
Yeah.
I definitely borrowed from that.
Yeah.
And I've been saying Big Rock Show ever since. They had a great sense of terminology, and they would always talk about the Big Rock Show. Big Rock Show. I'm glad it transcended into, and it traveled all the way to Nashville.
It did.
So,
and here's the thing. All it was guys getting together and wanting to have fun. We didn't even charge people to go to the show first. It was me, Jeremy, and Paul Taylor, and a couple other friends of mine. And we did Van Halen, Whitesnake, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Dio, Twisted, all that 80s stuff. And Doc used to come see us because Doc and I was actually living in one of Doc's rental properties at the time, Doc McGee. Okay, so we were neighbors.
The KISS manager.
So he used to come see us play a lot. And one morning we were having coffee at Starbucks right by where we both lived. And he goes, look, just say you're going to do this. Don't ask me about it. KISS is doing a cruise. Big Rock Show needs to be on there. I go, KISS is going to do a cruise? I go, I've never been on a cruise. He goes, neither have they. Don't worry about it. And it was us, Skid Row, like 10 others.
This was one of the very first KISS cruises.
Very first.
Wow.
And we went over so well that we got invited back every year to be on that boat. They loved us. Well, playing on the Lido deck at least once per cruise, I'd always look over stage left in the artist area, and the guys would come out and watch us at least part of every show. Fast forward to the end of 2016 KISS cruise, and Gene called me. I got a message in my cabin. Hey, Gene wants to see you. Can you go to lunch? I was like, okay, cool. So we go shoot the shit. And then he goes, look, this is probably not a big deal, but in the interim, while KISS isn't touring, I'd like to go do a couple solo shows. I've never done it. Can you put together a band for me? And I was like, I know the guys, Phil and Jeremy, right? I go, I got this.
Philip's house. And that's sort of, if there's a three-headed dragon in Nashville, it's the three of you guys, or the three. I'm not sure if it's a three-headed dragon or if it's the three what is it?
Three amigos.
Donald Duck's kids, the little
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. It's more like that, I promise.
Ryan Cook, Jeremy Asbrook, Philip Schaus. So the three of you guys are like this is what I got.
Yeah. And then that's how the whole thing started. And he said it's only going to be 2 or 3 shows max. And then it turned into 2 years. We went around the world with that guy, everywhere, all over Australia, Vienna, Japan.
And Factor Fiction. The rumor is that you guys flew private jets everywhere you toured.
Fiction. But we didn't.
Wait a second. How the hell did you get a shot of that? That's a private jet. That's a private jet.
That is. But those were few and far between because we flew everything else commercial. And then we'd have a bus sometimes.
You had told me before that with Gene, you guys literally, Gene enjoyed touring sort of with the guys. Yep. So you guys all went in a van or you'd all travel together.
If he was awake, if we were awake, we were together. And my gig, aside from playing guitar for him, was also to advance all the shows because we really ran lean and mean. We didn't have anybody with us. So I advanced all the shows. And whenever I would do that, at whatever theater we were playing or whatever, I always made sure Gene had his own dressing room and the band had their own dressing room. I wanted to give him his space. And I shit you not, 100% of the time, as we get to the venue and go like this, within 3 minutes, he would be in our dressing room. Nice. And he did this. Yeah, there we are eating cookies like we did every day.
You sure he wasn't coming in for the cookies? He wasn't. He did it all for the cookie. The cookie.
Yeah. And he literally would either stay in our room or go, hey, my dressing room is bigger. Come down to mine. And then the minute we walked off stage, he wanted to hang again and hold court until the early hours of the morning. You know, he always wanted to be together. And if he would get invited to, like, I don't know, something, whatever,
some sort of after party.
But only if the guys can come. And if he's going to say no. And
Nice.
if he was at the Ritz-Carlton, we were at the Ritz-Carlton. If he was in a private jet, we were in a private jet. If we did everything, and he made sure that we were never ever left behind. That's Caesars in Windsor, Ontario. I remember that night.
Looking good.
Yeah.
You're looking good, Ryan. And you know what? I guess now the height thing does actually make sense for me, because Gene's quite a tall individual, and then you two look very,
Yeah. He's kind of like Fletch. 6'2", 6'4" with the afro. Gene.
I love it. So how does it come about that Gene, now you've already played with one of your posters on your wall, which is very cool.
Yeah.
He kind of hands you over to Ace Frehley, which is, another iconic KISS member.
Yeah.
And probably because you play guitar, probably someone you looked up to as well.
Absolutely.
How does that whole thing come about?
So we get invited to go to Australia to do a run of shows. And, the Big Five, like you guys always do,
Yeah.
And it probably,
when you say the Big Five, are you talking about
Sydney,
Perth?
Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, and Adelaide.
Wow, that is the Big Five.
Yeah.
All right. What we did Gold Coast this last time, because we just finished it up. We didn't do Perth, so we did Melbourne. We did Sydney. What?
I'm a liar. We did 4 of the big. We didn't do Perth. I remember always thinking we were going to. We did 4 of the Big Five. We did not do Perth. But anyway,
thank you for your honesty. Very few people get to play Perth, and I just want to say that of all my times in going to Australia, this is the first time that we haven't played Perth. So I win, Ryan.
You did
this time.
You totally won. You totally won. So we probably had the same promoter, Paul Drennan, super great guy. Hope he's watching.
We love Paul Drennan. Yeah, that wasn't the promoter on our last tour, but we love Paul. I know Paul very well.
Great guy. But anyway, so he had the really cool idea that Ace Frehley opens for Gene Simmons. Okay.
Good idea.
That's a KISS fan. That's a really good night if you're a KISS fan. So they get it together, and then Ace calls Gene and says, "Look, do you think, would you mind if I used your band? Would they do it?" And Gene goes, "It's fine with me. You got to ask them. Call Ryan." So he sends an email, and I seen the email. Gene actually wrote to Ace, "No egos here. As long ask the guys." So I separately went back to him privately to Gene,
just to get the okay.
I said, "Are you being nice on paper, or do you really okay with this?" He says, "I really don't care. As long as you can do both." Well, and we were like, "We got this." So we did it.
Then you kissed his ring. Did you kiss his ring before or after?
Yeah. And then I reminded him that, yes, he did invent everything that's good in the world and all that kind of stuff.
Gotta do that.
So we played with Gene and Ace and Gene every night. And then at the end of that, we only had a few shows left, and Gene was getting ready to go back to KISS. And he told Ace, "You should just keep these guys. I'm going to be busy, and they're not going to be working with me for a while." So he did. So we literally went directly from Gene to Ace, and that was the end of 2019. And that was
to this day, you guys are still the Ace Frehley band.
Yep.
I know that there's been some shifts with the drummers and here and there, but the core, which is you and Jeremy and Philip as well, has been basically the same.
Yep. And then when Philip got so busy with Accept, I jumped over to bass.
Okay. So where is it right now in 2024? Are you a bassist or a guitar player?
I'm a bassist with Ace. I'm a bass with Ace, and I'm guitar with Rock City Machine.
So Ace bass, Ace of bass, or bass of Ace, your bass of Ace.
Yep.
And through this whole thing, you form RCMC at the same time, which is Rock City Machine Company.
Yep.
All right. Yep. Now, why is it called Rock City Machine Company?
Because that is an actual company here in Nashville. Jeremy is the one guy in the band that was born and raised here. And it's a building he drove by every day. I drove by it a lot. And it's just a cool name. And, you know, we're under one of those things where it's not too deep. Does it sound cool? We'll take it.
Okay.
And that was it. I do like that since we use the acronym as our logo. I have heard one time that someone thought it was Ryan Cook, Master of Ceremonies. I'm okay with that too.
Or Ryan Cook Motorcycle Club. Have you gotten any crap from any sort of no motorcycle clubs have gone to say that, oh, we have that acronym?
No. Nope.
Right.
Thank God. No.
All right.
You don't want to cross the MC.
And Rock City Machine Company itself, they haven't made any.
No.
Are they still a company?
Yeah. Yeah, they still are. And if anything,
what do they do?
Happy because people, water filtration company. So if you see
Ryan Cook, osmosis, reverse osmosis, reverse osmosis.
Listen,
it sounds very metal.
If I can find a way to start peddling bottled water, I am going to be so happy.
Dude, I'm telling you, you have to have a signature Ryan Cook filtration system.
I want to, you know. Well, I'm going to put Brita out of business.
Well, the good news is the self-titled debut is already out and there's no cease and desist going on. So where and apparently, according to our producer, there's a shitload of merch available. And is this Ryan Cook merch or who designed this as well?
That was the logo itself was designed by a killer guy here in town, artist named 𝒃𝒔𝒄𝒓𝒊𝒃𝒆.
All right.
And he's amazing. He did that. And then all of our merch is available through Amplify. So if you go to amplifyt.com/RCMC, we've got hoodies, baby dolls, cropped hoodies. We have a couple different variants of the logo and everything. And they're awesome. Good tees.
So you can buy standard, RCMC merch, or you can go over to the Ryan Cook sort of like customized vibe. And is there not just Kiss merch or other stuff that you customize? Is there any RCMC merch that you customize on that end of it as well?
I can, and I will. And the only guy that's got an RCMC hoodie is Jeremy Asbrock, because he's the only guy that I've made one for. But I do custom everything.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
I do have one person that wants a customized RCMC hoodie that I've gotten an email from. His name's Neil Giraldo, and he would like that one that Jeremy has. So if you could please grab that from Jeremy and give it to Neil Giraldo, that would be great.
That's great.
Fact or fiction? Does Jeremy Asbrook not like Neil Giraldo?
I'm gonna go with fact. let's just
for no reason. I don't know.
Let's get it started. That was a funny conversation. That was good.
Stirring the pot. Well, guess what? The old RCMC is playing some live shows as well. And by the time this gets out, or maybe you're watching this a year from now, folks, or maybe you're listening to it in your spaceship car because it's the way future. The gig will have already happened. But apparently the old Rock City Machine Company is playing some live shows, a big one coming up with in Nashville in the summertime with the Dead Daisies. How did that come about?
Our good friends John Corabi and Doug Aldrich.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, never heard of those guys. They'll never make it. Those guys.
Love those guys. All right. Hello. Shout out to Corabi.
No, you know what? Just because John doesn't live far from here either, but just because we're good friends and it's local for us, we actually get home from an Ace run that morning, the night that they're playing. And John offered, and the venue themselves have been wanting us there for a long time. And it worked out perfect. So Jared and I were like, man, we'll take the first fly out of wherever that morning, Hartford that morning. Phil's not out with Accept that weekend. And we're like, let's do it. So we're going to do a show with them. And then
you know that there will be no rehearsal. It's good. You're just on record right now as saying whatever people see on that night will be unrehearsed. Great. great. Looking
But we
forward
also
to it.
promise it'll be great.
Somebody please post those posts up. That'll be great. And not just RCMC gigs, but you have some upcoming, because I always like to hype what you're doing now. I love to talk about what you did in your past, but what you're doing now.
Yeah.
You're also touring with Ace Frehley, and that tour starts basically very soon.
It started in January. I'm just on a little hiatus right now. We go back out with Ace again on the 25th of this month.
Okay.
And we are booked pretty much every week through we're booked into November, but from the 25th to the first week of September, we're out almost every week. So we're going to be everywhere. And a lot of those are packages this time because we have a new agent. And so they're pairing us up with, like, look at him, the tongue. It looks like that could be my bottom lip.
I thought that was your agent, to be honest with you. I literally thought that was your new agent. I thought Ace Frehley had his new agent. What the hell, Vic?
It might look like it.
Eyes are playing tricks on me now. Now I don't feel so bad about the filters.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's gonna be fun. We're on a lot of package shows this year too.
Great. Hopefully Alice Cooper and Ace Frehley, or Rock City Machine Company, like, hook up in some way. We have to come by at some point, because whenever we're both in town, you've always been sort of my host in Nashville.
Yeah,
my Nashville guy, and we get to go pal around out there. You get to take me to some of your nicest restaurants, some of the nice steakhouses that we've gone to together, and I can't wait till I get to come back there again and spend some more time.
Me too. I always love seeing you here. And you and I still one day we will play in some sort of band together, even if it's very short lived.
No, we have to. We have to maybe record together. We'll start with a recording, and then maybe, hey, there's a picture of us.
So real quick,
at a house party the last time I was in Nashville.
Yeah, real quick. See the guy between you and Tommy, Ricky Dover?
Yes.
He has since, good for him, and I love and adore him. He now
gained 80 pounds.
He got the Grace Potter gig. He got the Grace Potter gig.
Whoa, congratulations. Big shout out.
And he's killing it. He's killing it. Great guy. Yeah. I
mean, I'm very jealous of his torso. I think the only torso I'm more jealous of is Tommy 𝒂𝒏𝒆. So,
or Chucky.
I didn't have this nice broad torso. You couldn't see Nerd Halen as well. So that's why.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
those guys.
You will meet those guys. Yeah. Nerd Halen's great. Go check them out. Everyone should meet them. One last topic of discussion, because you're going to be touring on through November. I'm going to be touring with Alice. We start our European tour. Then we go over to the States. We're going to do more shows with Zombie Ministry and Filter, I believe. And then we're going to come back to the UK. So we're busy up until November as well. What's going to be happening during that time is a football season.
Yeah.
And we have a little bit of a thing going on with the AFC West.
Yeah.
Yes, West. See, my team has been in 3 different cities since I've been a fan. And I grew up in Oakland, California. I grew up in the Bay Area. So I've always been an Oakland Raider fan. It doesn't matter if they moved down to L.A. I moved down to L.A. So I was an LA Raiders fan. Then they moved to Vegas. And who's not a fan of Vegas? The Raiders are pretty much a state of mind. You don't have to be a fan. Why are you a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs? So what have they done to make you a fan? What have they ever done?
It's all proximity. I was born in Chiefs land. Therefore, I had to support the Chiefs. And I told you, growing up my whole life, it was hard we called them the Griefs.
Yeah, you were born in the vibrant plains of Kansas.
Vibrant plains, yeah.
But don't forget, obviously, look, they've gone back to back Super Bowls. They're a great team. There's no doubt about it. You got some, you got one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time on your team. You have probably the greatest tight end of all time playing with Travis. you always have some sort of thing that, oh, it's not going to work out this year because you don't have a receiving core, you don't have a running back, but you tend to work it out. And they say, oh, the defense isn't going to work. They work it out. You know, Andy Reid you find a way to coach it. You find a way to make it happen. How are you feeling this year as far as a three-peat? Because I have no legs to stand on, because my team has, you know, literally since the 70s, we've been living off the 70s thing. We made a little rumble of it in the early 2000s, and then we all know what happened in that Super Bowl appearance, if you're a Raider fan. But, you know, how are you feeling about a three-peat for your team this year?
I think that they totally feel like they can do it because just, you know, of the wave that they're riding on and how good they feel and everything. I'm always careful about predicting stuff because it's like, do I want it to happen? Hell yes, I want it to happen. But it's just, I just, how
did you feel about this last Super Bowl? What the hell? How was this last one for you? I mean, it was 5 a.m. It was 5 or maybe even 5:30 in the morning when I was watching it here in South Africa.
Do you remember I was in Turkey when it was
so you were on European time as well? Yeah. Okay.
So we were both watching it in the middle of the night.
Yes,
you know,
all through the night.
I think it finally ended close to 6 a.m. for me. You know, and I was just laying there in bed watching it and just being, I mean, he just kept thinking, I kept thinking he's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat. He's gonna, and sure as shit.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
You know, it was very Brady-esque. You know what he
nothing but respect. I got to be honest with you. Nothing but respect for KC. I mean, I know that the fans are great. Every time we go to KC, I have a guitar. I have a GMP Roxie Raider that I flip up, and the Raiders insignia comes on. They love to boo it, but I love to take it. I wouldn't put it up there if I didn't. It's always been respect. We just have to get. I mean, the fact that we did ball out the last game. There you go. The fact that we did ball out the last game against KC, and we did kind of beat you. In a weird way, I think that actually was the wake up call for you to actually for the Kansas City Chiefs to actually get their shit together, because I don't think they lost a game after that Raider game.
Right, I'll agree with that. And something
I don't think they did. I think they went on and they didn't lose a game until, you know, the last game of the season, which they won the Super Bowl. Right. And the thing was, again, you can thank the Raiders for that.
I know. I'll agree with that wholeheartedly.
For New England Patriots legacy, you know, with the fucking tuck rule, and for your you know, going back to back, you can thank the Raiders.
There you go. And you know what's exciting for me this year is I am just so interested and excited to actually to go into Allegiant Stadium. I think it looks amazing. And
I haven't been to a game there yet.
I want to go there. And one of our crew members is a Raiders season ticket holder. He's a massive fan like you are, and he's agreed to take me to Vegas when they host the Chiefs.
It's gonna be a great game for you.
So we agreed that if we're not on tour and that weekend is open, that we're gonna go to I get to go to a game there finally.
All right. So, well, I'm glad that the In the Trenches podcast has turned into a little bit of an episode of Ball Talk. We do Ball Talk on the Instagram once in a while. I do at Ryan Roxie on the Instagram. We talk about sports and stuff. And Ryan and I think we did the last game. We said, how's it going? That game. It was a fun one for us to do. But you know what? We'll see each other on the road. I can't wait to see you again. If people want to get in touch with you on your social media, whether it's to check out the Ryan Cook clothes or check out tour dates with Ace Frehley or check out any of the Rock City Machine Company gigs, where is the best place to get in touch with Ryan Cook?
Instagram, Ryan Cook 1969, and Facebook, Ryan Spencer Cook.
There you go.
Easy.
Usually I know Vic is scrambling probably to put up some sort of social media thing, but don't worry. We'll put all the links right down in the description right now. Again, if you're listening to us on the audio broadcast, you've missed a beautiful man, a very beautiful man being interviewed in the name of Ryan Spencer Cook. There he is. If you're watching it on video, you know it. You've seen it. Ryan, one last question, because I ask all my guests this, is like, have you received any bit of information or any bit of advice that you might want to pass on to the listeners that can help them, whether, they're a rock and roller, a plumber, a doctor, a lawyer, a soothsayer? I don't care. If you can help you in life, have you received any bit of advice that you would like to pass on to our listeners?
Something that's always worked for me is always go with your gut. I think gut instincts are like everything, and if something doesn't feel right, it isn't. And it's different. And I don't mean that about being nervous. There's a lot of stuff I've been nervous about, but I've went ahead and done it, and it's worked out and been super great for me. So nervousness and gut instinct, I think, are two different things, and like keep them apart, but always go with your gut, because your gut instinct is everything. And it's always kind of, it's always led me the right way. That's it.
I love it. Go with your gut and take a really good probiotic.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan Spencer Cook, for being on In the Trenches. I look forward to seeing you. Hang on for 1 second. Yeah. Folks, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. And you know what? We'll have another episode really soon, but it's not going to be every single week, because I'm going to be on tour on and off for the rest of the year. We'll do as many as we can. But until next time, folks, I'm Ryan Roxie. This is the In the Trenches podcast. Enjoy the ride. Thanks, Ryan.
See you guys. Thank you.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Great job, Ryan. It was fun. I think we covered all the aspects. Did we cover everything?
Yeah.
We missed a couple things I had extra stuff on, but that's all right.
What was that? What did we miss?
The stuff where you guys toured together.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Oh, fuck. Well, you know what? That's
this stuff in the studio that just happened recently.
Yep.
What was that about? What was that about, Ryan?
The mini guitar.
Oh, the mini guitars. Yep.
Oh shit! I didn't. All right. So there was a lot of stuff. So let's talk about. Wait. Why was Farrah Fawcett there?
Because she's there. She's come on.
Why not?
Can you go back to that photo of Farrah Fawcett? That's an amazing photo of Farrah Fawcett.
Good photo.
She never.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it kind of looks like if you took the photo of Ryan Cook at the Sears.
Similar hair.
A little bit of similar Farrah Fawcett thing.
That's what I was going for anyway.
Did you put Ryan's head on Farrah Fawcett's body? Would that be good? Or maybe Farrah Fawcett's face on Ryan? I don't know.
On my body, yeah.
When I had some of his inspiration for all of his bedazzling.
That's right. Look at that. The king.
Okay, so you know what's good is that we're still recording, and now this is the extra shit that.
Exactly.
So you feel like you got everything out. Is there anything else that you need, Vic?
On stage with Cheap Trick.
Yeah,
that's you singing with Cheap Trick. I bet you that's Surrender.
Yeah,
Kiss Cruise.
Yeah,
Kiss Cruise.
We did that. Yeah, that's us backstage.
Okay, that's a cool shot. Is that when we're on tour together?
Yeah, Rachel and Layla. Jeannie, yeah,
nice,
yeah, man.
More Elvis.
I love it. Oh yeah. Good
okay.
stuff.
Oh, and I cleaned up this photo of your dad.
Yeah, that's my dad on the right.
Cool.
Wow, good looking guy, man.
Yeah, man, that's a good one.
Who's the guy on the left? It looks like Joe Strummer.
Yeah, that was his best friend. That was his best friend, Dick Tarwater.
It's a good name.
Yeah, I know, right?
A good band name.
It's a good boogie.
All the shit that I missed, Vic. I thought it was a pretty good podcast.
There's
Holy
my
shit.
Yeah, that's my dad in the middle. That's it.
I didn't know he was in Sha-Na-Na.
I know, right? Look at that. That was him at boot camp in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
That was
Marine
wow.
Bowser. Yeah.